Good morning, everybody. My name is Richard Tucker. I'm the Executive Director of Jefferson Land Trust, and welcome to the Land Trust Conservation Breakfast 2026. If you are a longtime supporter of the Land Trust, or you're new to the area or new to learning about the Land Trust, welcome. We're grateful you're here, but we also want to thank you for your commitment to conservation in this beautiful region in which we live. I have the honor and privilege of now introducing you to Jane Giltonen, our board president, who will be also our MC. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Richard. Good morning, everyone. As we begin, we would like to acknowledge that the lands and waters Jefferson Land Trust works to protect are within the traditional homelands of the S'Klallam, Chimacum, Twana, Suquamish, and other indigenous peoples. These tribes have been the original stewards of these lands since time immemorial. Jefferson Land Trust recognizes that colonization irrevocably disrupted tribal homelands, access, and lifeways, and that the conservation system we operate within has also contributed to inequities. We commit to working in partnership with Indigenous peoples and marginalized communities to lessen harm, deepen relationships, and pursue a more just and inclusive conservation future. We are really honored to be joined today by Dana Ward, a friend and member of the Jamestown S'Klallam Tribal Council, who will offer us a blessing. Dana?
Ait Squatchy, Siam Nisjayacha, Dana Ward, and Snas Tatiklam, Nutsglaitzam. Good day, honored friends. I'm Dana Ward of the Jamestown S'Klallam Tribe, and it's really good to be here with you again today. I'm going to stick to my script so you make good use of my time. So I just want to thank you for the invitation to greet you today and provide a blessing for your 2026 conservation breakfast. On behalf of the Jamestown S'Klallam people and our tribal council and our indigenous friends throughout, we want to thank you for your continued support in our longstanding partnership as we strive to steward our sacred lands and water with wisdom and respect. Both Chairman Allen and Vice Chairman Leninger speak highly of our close relationships with the organization as well as your leadership team. I'm looking forward to hearing from this year's guest speaker, Terry Tempest Williams. Her books and biographies attest to her passion and enduring spirit that move her actions and labors towards education and preservation of our sacred lands. Thank you, Ms. Williams. I'm certain we will all be stirred and more deeply enlightened, and all the better for listening as you share from your heart today with us. Now it's my honor to ask a blessing upon this event, and please participate in your own way according to your own spirit. Creator, thank you for the gift of this beautiful day. Thank you for those in my hearing who have gathered to listen, to learn, to support, and to make a difference in the care and the stewardship of the land you have provided for us. Thank you for helping us be mindful of the sacredness of your creation. Thank you for the animals, the fish, the water, the food, the gift of one another. We want to honor the abundance and sustenance you have provided. As generations in the past have passed on their traditional knowledge and wisdom, may we continue their legacy of good stewardship and working together in these various capacities to keep our world healthy and thriving. Creator, today we give you thanks. We ask for your blessing over the work of this organization, including the staff, the community leaders, the many volunteers of the Jefferson Land Trust organization. May this work be fruitful and impactful in our communities, in our part of the world. This indeed is a good day. We ask all these things in your great and mighty name, Hoyt. Hotnitson, my friends, Hotnitson, enjoy the program today. I'm going to be listening in.
Thank you so much, Dana, for that beautiful blessing. Before we begin our program, I'd like to thank the businesses and organizations whose sponsorship makes today's Pay What You Can event possible. Port Ludlow Resort, the Quilcene Lantern, Rainier, Bar Car Mobile, the Cross Charitable Foundation, Kristen Manwaring Insurance, First Security Bank, Marrowstone Vineyards, Kitsap Bank, the James D. Scheinfeld Family Foundation, the Business Guides, Camp and Car, the Trust for Public Land, the Leader, Puget Sound Express, Wally Works Construction, the Food Co-op, Aldrich's, Pacific Forest Management Incorporated, Olympic Equipment Rental, and the Olympic Housing Trust. Please join me in thanking these generous sponsors. I'd also like to thank those of you who made a donation with your registration. Your gifts make all our work to protect farms, forests, and wildlife habitat of Jefferson County possible. We very much appreciate your support. If you haven't yet made a gift and feel inspired to do so during our program today, you'll find a donation link in the chat. Thank you in advance for your support. And now it is my very great pleasure to welcome Nan Evans of KPTZ's Nature Now, a trusted voice in our community and a wonderful convener of thoughtful conversations. Nan, thank you for being with us. I'm delighted to invite you to introduce our special guest, Terry Tempest Williams.
Thank you so much, Jane. I have to share, I'm really excited to be with all of you this morning, and I'm deeply honored to be able to introduce our guest speaker, Terry Tempest Williams. Terry Tempest Williams is one of the most beloved and influential voices in contemporary environmental literature, a writer, a teacher, and an advocate whose work invites us to see the natural world not as something separate from ourselves, but as a part of ourselves. We are a part of the natural world, and we do have responsibilities due to that connection. When I think about Terry, and I've been reading her for years, the words that come to mind are eloquent, profoundly present, joyous, a great heart, wise, deep commitment, and moral integrity. Terry's writings and talks challenge us to go deeply and with radical intent into the many crises of soul and earth that we face in these times. At the heart of Terry's work is a simple and very powerful truth that love of place carries with it a responsibility to care, to speak, and to act. We are profoundly grateful that Terry Tempest Williams is joining us today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, and I apologize for this background. I'm on the bed in Santa Fe at the Hotel St. Francis, but my heart is with you. And it is such an honor to be with you as members of the Jefferson Land Trust. I have seen what you've done firsthand with my friend Anna Brady. I have been to that wonderful farm of Finn River and participated in the glory of those lands. And I just want to thank you for the work that you're doing. I just love that 3 women, Julie, Virginia, and Stephanie, I'm not giving their last names because it to me, it's what women do when we have cups of tea together. We conspire and create new forms. And I love that the founding members are women. I just want to honor the 19,000 acres that you have protected of forests and farms and coastlines and corridors. The most recent one, I think, is at a wildlife corridor. And the Quimper, if I'm spelling that or pronouncing it correctly. My feeling about land trusts is that land trusts are like water, that they flow inside the cracks and crannies that no one else can. Excuse me. Brooke and I, my husband, we've been married 50 years. 30 years ago, we moved to Castle Valley, Utah. It's a small desert hamlet excuse me. It's a small desert hamlet that is in arid country, about an hour east of Moab. In 2000, we started a land trust as well. It was called the Castle Rock Collaboration, because we were at risk of a development coming in, everything from condos to golf courses, and we do not have water. We're in the middle of a 2,500-year drought. And what happened is that people with really diverse ideologies came together in the name of home. And I think this is a common story among all land trusts. And each of us holds a piece of the mosaic. And I just, again, want to honor what you have done and how this mosaic of land trusts, whether it's Jefferson, whether it's Castle Rock, all create open spaces of democracy. And I want to start with this one idea that I think binds all of us together. The human heart is the first home of democracy. It is where we embrace our questions. Can we be equitable? Can we be generous? Can we listen with our whole beings, not just our minds, and offer our attention rather than our opinions? And do we have enough resolve in our hearts to act courageously, relentlessly, without giving up ever, trusting our fellow citizens to join with us in our determined pursuit of a living democracy? The heart is the house of empathy, whose door opens when we receive the pain of others. This is where bravery lives, where we find our mettle to give and receive, to love and be loved, to stand in the center of uncertainty, with strength, not fear, understanding this is all there is. The heart is the path to wisdom because it dares to be vulnerable in the presence of power. Our power lies in our love of our homelands. And I just want to share with you, and then we can open it up for questions, two stories, the beginning and the latest. As I said, in 2000, our community of about 250 people were under threat. It's a valley that is 10 miles long and 2 miles wide, surrounded by Castleton Tower, a 400-foot monolith to the east, the LaSalle Mountains, a mountain range, 12,000 feet high to the south. To the west is Porcupine Rim, and to the north is the Colorado River. A group of women did not know what they could do that could make a difference because the developer was serious. And under the cover of darkness, these women will remain unnamed. They took the sign, we're in Abby's country, at Abbey. Monkey wrenching is a known tactic. This sign that said this acreage was for sale was suddenly removed, put on top of a car, went down to the river, and these women floated this sign down the river to Arches National Park, retrieved the sign, put it on top of the car, went into Arches National Park under the cover of darkness, went to the windows section where Double O Arch is, and replanted the sign so that when dawn came, the Park Service received many, many calls that Double O Arch was for sale. It became a prank. It was on the front page of the Times Independent. And what was clear is that developers would buy anything. I don't mean to be disparaging of developers, but you understand what I'm saying. And it put the county on notice that what was being sold were the lands around Castleton Tower, one of the largest sandstone monoliths in the world, in and next to a community that doesn't have water. That was the beginning. What just happened last week is our community converged in the wake of the lunar eclipse, and we had a water ceremony for our community, a community that 2 years ago had 5 flash floods in a matter of weeks. And we have been walking the path of water as a community. This ceremony included 2 vessels, One where some of us went down to the Colorado River, said prayers, and took some water, put it in this vessel, another vessel next to it that was empty. And we invited the community to come at a sunrise ceremony where one of our elders from the Northwest Band of Shoshone gave a blessing. And then each member of the community, there were about 100, were able to come to the table, the water table, and take the shell, dip it into the water of the Colorado with an intention of a renewed vow, an intention or a prayer for the community, for themselves, for each other, and then place it in the empty vessel. This went on for over an hour. Each person I witnessed with their eyes closed, with their hearts open for the open space of democracy in the name of water. Then a pilgrimage was made. The vessel, now full of everyone's intentions, was taken down to the river. As we poured the water into the Colorado, I thought it would just immediately enter the current. It acted like smoke. It swirled, it fanned, it swirled again, it got deeper, more expansive. And then it looked like a galaxy from which stars were born, star-shaped bubbles. And would you believe me if I told you 100 of those star-shaped bubbles, the voices, the silent voices coming from the heart, the intentions, the vows, the prayers, floated downstream in the main channel. What happened between that first action and then this celebration and ceremony was protecting those lands. I know you know this at your land trust in the beautiful area around Port Townsend and everything that you have done in terms of the protection of your acreage since 1989 to now. We share these stories. I come to you in solidarity and deep, deep gratitude for the understanding that there is something deeper than hope, and that is engagement, which is what I see you, all of you doing. And thank you.
Terry, that was such a beautiful story and inspiring, and a story I could see in my heart as you were telling it. And it reminds me of the power of storytelling, of telling our stories and telling them with great heart. I'd like to ask your wisdom for those of us here who love the land, love our particular spot of the land, quite different from yours, but we love it nonetheless. And sometimes it is discouraging. And sometimes, I think particularly nowadays, there are new factors at play that kind of slap us in the head and go, what? And I want to ask you about one in particular, one of the fear. Fear is not something I've thought about much, but now I think all of us are facing growing fear for the safety of families, of loved ones, of losing the ability to provide kind of basic needs, food, housing, healthcare, education. The fear of the consequences of being different, the fear of losing basic rights we had assumed had been secured, and the fear that the precious is being lost. Can you help us with your wisdom inspire us about how to face some of these fears?
I'm not sure I have any wisdom at all. I share your fears.
My dear, you do, but
And, you know, living in Utah, I never take anything for granted. But I also know living in such a conservative state that we're always underestimated because the common ground that we share is a love of place. I mean, Brigham Young in 1847 said, "This is the place." And Mormons and non-Mormons alike, whether Democrats or Republicans, I think we're coming together in this moment of grave environmental catastrophe, and I don't use that word lightly, which is the retreat of Great Salt Lake. We now have 1,000 square miles that are exposed with toxic waste in windy country, where those dust devils whip this up, and it's going across the Wasatch Front of 2.5 million people, not to mention the 12 million birds that are migrating through. And in 2023, at the lake's lowest historic level, they closed the causeway, which was where the water would flow from the north and the south arms. That was in March of 2023. By June, 3 months later, 4 months later, the white pelicans left Gunnison Island. They had been there for 12,000 years. The question has to be asked, what do the white pelicans know that we don't? So I share these fears. What I am trusting is community, which is what you've been talking about this morning, the power of community. And my world is getting smaller. My concerns now are literally Castle Valley and Great Salt Lake, and those are too big for me to handle. But in community, what I'm seeing, again, looking at Castle Valley in 2025, 2026, after those floods, we had a very conservative mayor who said, not my problem. Private property rights, you can create your own dams. And it was our neighbor Charlene, who is a devout MAGA supporter, in her MAGA t-shirt at a town meeting said at the mayor's pronouncement, it can no longer be about private property rights. It can no longer be about our own place. We have to stop thinking about ourselves and start taking care of one another. And what is a climate ready plan? What can that look like for a town like ours? I wasn't the one that said that. It wasn't Mary O'Brien, who makes me look like Nancy Reagan. She wasn't the one saying that. It was Charlene. And when we had a difficult dinner party, and I guess this is what I want to end this question with, is we had a difficult dinner party. Our neighbors moved after the 5 floods. They couldn't handle it. They were gone. New neighbors moved in. They didn't really know the history of even just 6 months ago. So Brooke and I had what we called a difficult dinner party. We had 12 seats. We invited Charlene and her husband. We invited the Williams, Jolene and Richard, who are devout LDS members, a flint knapper who lost 6 tons of debris from making arrowheads for a living. We had Marion O'Brien, beautiful environmentalist, conservationist. Mary worked on NEPA when that law came into being. We had BLM people from government agencies. The whole spectrum was there, really. They came. The Mormon in me that's no longer active but gets activated had favors. So when they walked in, there was a basket of stone hearts, and each person took a heart. And we sat down in the living room, and each person told what they loved about Castle Valley: a night sky of stars, solitude, Red Rock Desert, coyotes howling at night. It took an hour. By the time we got to the table, seemingly disparate ideologies were opened. There was a tenderness. It turned into origin stories. And then what happened was Richard Williams, the patriarch in the Mormon Church of our valley, said, I want to talk about the floods. Where does the water want to go? And that shifted the conversation. Tables, the dishes were cleared, maps came out, and we thought, what if we walked the path of water as a community? And what happened is we organized. A month later, we sent out flyers. We thought there might be 12 more people, 24 total. We looked at private landowners that asked permission to walk through their land where the flood came. Would you believe 70 people showed up? And for 3 hours, we walked the path of water with hydrologists in the valley, with naturalists in the valley, with geologists in the valley. And when we finally got to the town square, we had a potluck. Nobody wanted to leave. So to me, again, something deeper than hope, engaging, walking the path of water, having us come together beyond left, right, or center, but as neighbors. And that's where I place my hope in this moment in time.
That's a beautiful story. Because I think we all struggle with, how do we rebuild trust? Trust in each other, trust in science, trust in the future. And your story so beautifully illustrates the working local, the listening to people across whatever lines that might divide us.
And I'm being stretched. Last week we just found out that the new ally for Great Salt Lake is Donald Trump. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what was bargained for. I don't know. All I saw was a 60-second clip. He's in a tuxedo at Mar-a-Lago saying, "I love Great Salt Lake. We're going to save it. This is a real environmental issue, not my hairspray." And he launched into hairspray and what he called the ozone layer that couldn't get in because Trump Tower was secure. What do you do with that? But then I thought of something I had just said the week prior to young people who are so alive and engaged in Great Salt Lake. All hands on deck. If I mean it, then that means Donald Trump's hands too. So I think we're in new territory.
Continually inspiring. And yes, that would have shocked me too, but it also tells me that you're doing something absolutely the right way. You're taking that hope. You're doing it with integrity.
And there's a lot of people in very different places. I will tell you, as a community on Zoom, how did that happen? Mark Burnett, who was the producer, director of The Apprentice, lives in Utah and doesn't want to move. And he goes to his friend, along with our Governor Cox and Mitt Romney's son, who, so it takes all of us. And that's hard for me because we don't, I want to say, what's your vision of Great Salt Lake? Here's mine. Are they the same? It's the hard work, but we're in new territory. And I think it's going to get harder. And I think we're going to have to become more creative with more expansive hearts, and really listen to one another. And you're doing that. That's what I loved about coming into your part of the world, is to see the fluid landscapes, literally in, Anna and I went with her family, walking along the coastline. Those were lands you have protected in those forests. And again, seeing how a community comes together. Brooke and I met a weaver of willows where you put your body when you die. And we're going to gather our own willows along the Colorado River. This is where we as communities across the country impact each other. Again, like water.
Terry, I want to thank you ever so deeply for your thoughts today. I'm sorry we can't talk longer. I would just so much enjoy that. And I know everybody on this Zoom would enjoy it because I think you've spoken to a number of things that we feel very, very deeply about. And
well, it's an honor to join you. And I really believe if we are present in the places we love, we will know what to do. Thank you so much for your passion and heart and beautiful work.
And to yours. Thank you. Wow. I will take some time thinking about many of those things she said. However, I think now we have to go back to our program and, actually, I almost forgot something. Before I get off, I want to encourage all of you to order Terry's new book. It's called The Glorians, Visitations from the Holy Ordinary. I love that title. You can order it through our local wonderful independent bookstore, Imprint bookstore. It's a great way to support Terry's work and a beloved community institution, and you will find the link in the chat. And one more thing, we will be giving away a copy of the Glorians, and let's see, I have it right here. Yeah, well, that never works. Forget that. We will be giving away a copy at the end of this presentation to one very lucky attendee. However, you must be present to win. So I encourage you to stick around for that drawing at the end of our program. And now I'm going to give you back to Jane Gulleton. Thank you, Jane.
You're welcome, Nan. And thank you. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Nan, for such a beautiful and grounding conversation. Terry reminds us that living in a place is not passive. It asks something of us. It asks us to pay attention, to show up, and to take responsibility for the lands and waters that sustain us. Here in Jefferson County, that sense of responsibility is shared by so many of us, including some very exceptional young environmentalists. I'm going to hand the spotlight to Richard, who would like to introduce these two young leaders as winners of the 2026 Fairbank Award for Conversation. Richard?
Thank you, Jane. I really do appreciate this. This award is named in honor of Owen and Sarah Fairbank, whose more than 20 years of dedication to this community, service and conservation, and not just with the Land Trust, but other organizations. It's a pleasure to have this award. At their request, the award recognizes a young person or persons who are making a difference in this community. And we're very grateful that we have two winners today. We are incredibly grateful in this community to have a wonderful group of young people, young leaders who are showing the way, and they are stepping up with their creativity, courage, and also care. The two award winners today, and it was a difficult decision, and we said we can't decide, so we're going to award them both. And the two winners are Sawyer Duvall and also Nelina Taylor Lenz. Now, I probably will not do justice to either of them because their accomplishments are great. And it's one of those things where I'm going to do the best I can, but I'll start with Sawyer. Sawyer Duvall has been a member and a leader for the Students for Sustainability, an organization that has won an award in the past and also continues to impress us at the Land Trust and the community with the great things that they do. Sawyer was also involved in student government, also on the advisory committee with faculty, and also has been involved in advocacy and lobbying for numerous projects. And we will have an article about Sawyer's accomplishments in one of our upcoming newsletters. But I just want to say that this is a young person who is making a difference in the world. And we're very proud of our young people in this community. And so thank you, Sawyer, for your work. Nelina also has been involved in Students for Sustainability and has been involved in volunteering for a summer at Discovery Bay Bird Rescue. Also has done volunteer work with North Olympic Salmon Coalition, was also one of our Youth Corps workers, and also has been involved in lobbying in Olympia. I think Nelina was involved in a bottle bill, and Sawyer was involved in dealing with wrapping of products and also trying to get controls over that. So like I said, I probably do not do justice, but I am so excited to be able to award each of them a certificate, which we will be handing to them. Also awarding them $1,500 each to show our appreciation and also to help them with their future endeavors. And I want to thank each of them for all you do for our community. We recognize it, the community recognizes, and we are very honored to give you this award. Do either one of you have anything to say?
I just want to start off and say thank you so much for allowing us to be here, and thank you so much for this award. We both appreciate it so much.
Mhm. And while we have done our activism to help our community, it's also really heartwarming and touching to see the community like giving back and recognizing it as well.
Well, thank you. Absolutely. And Jane, I turn it back to you.
And thank you so much, Sawyer and Helena. We're inspired by your leadership and we'll be cheering you on as you continue to follow your passions and make the world a better place. I'm going to introduce our staff to tell you a little bit about the strategic plan. Turning hope into action is a mantra of our Jefferson Land Trust. And over the past year, we've worked very hard with more than 250 community members. These are made up of donors, volunteers, board members, partners, landowners, and residents to shape Jefferson Land Trust's next 5-year strategic plan. The community's guidance is now shaping where we're headed next. I am delighted to invite our department directors, Eric Kingfisher, Sarah Spaeth, and Kate Godman, to share a brief snapshot of Jefferson Land Trust's strategic platform priorities and how hope is turning into action right here at home. Eric, Sarah, and Kate, it's yours.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Thanks, Jane, and thanks to all of you who are on this call who contributed your best ideas and hopes for the future of our shared home as part of our strategic planning process. It was a good process, and we heard what we heard from you all was pretty clear. You're deeply concerned about development pressures, as are we, climate impacts, as are we, and the loss of working lands. And you want the Land Trust to be a bold, collaborative, and proactive partner in meeting these challenges. We have a new vision statement. Our vision for the future is at the heart of our new strategic plan. And our new vision statement reads here, in a time of rapid change, Jefferson Land Trust envisions a future where vibrant, connected ecosystems and working lands are protected, climate resilient, and cared for in a spirit of reciprocity by an engaged community, sustaining wildlife, clean air and water, local food and timber, and the well-being of people and place for generations to come. We're always working toward that vision. And this strategic plan is a kind of roadmap for the next 5 years of innovation, collaboration, and partnerships ahead. And so today we wanted to just share some high-level summary of all of that strategic plan work. The summary of the 5 connected priorities outlined in the plan. So over the next 5 years, Jefferson Land Trust will focus on these 5 connected priorities. Number 1, protecting habitat and watersheds. No surprise there. We will accelerate protection of salmon streams and shorelines and river corridors across the county, all the way from the Hoh River on the west end to Duckabush River and to where it all started, Jimicum Creek, and safeguarding the clean water and building habitats and landscapes that are more resilient to the climate change coming.
Have a goal of completing the Quimper Wildlife Corridor. One of the key projects in our protecting habitats and watersheds strategic priority is the Quimper Wildlife Corridor. We're moving closer to permanently protecting a continuous corridor of native habitat spanning the North Quimper Peninsula, improving wildlife movement, strengthening the forest health, and securing public access to those beloved non-motorized connecting trails. While this project has been ongoing for more than 30 years, with a recent generous foundation grant, public funding, and the support of individual donors, we're planning to take huge steps forward.
The second core priority is advancing community forestry. So building on the success of Chimicum Ridge Community Forest, we're exploring additional community forest opportunities that keep working forests intact, support local wood economies, store carbon, and invite people into relationship with the land.
The third core focus area of the plan is keeping local farms in production. Through buy, protect, sell, and conservation easements, we'll continue helping farmers access affordable land, ensuring local food production and vibrant rural communities for generations.
All right, and then the fourth focus of our plan is community, really, which means, expanding our education programs, including career pathways into conservation and nurturing a love of the land in our youngest community members. So from youth education to volunteer stewardship, we're growing programs that connect people, especially young people, to the land and build the next generation of conservation leaders.
And all of it relies on partnerships, community, and long-term stewardship. And for us, community also means a core commitment to strong partnerships, inclusive community engagement through volunteer opportunities and adult education, and long-term stewardship. Because protecting the land is really only the first step. Caring for it forever in partnership with the community is the promise that we make.
And this year, for the first time, the plan includes a new focus: organizational health and perpetuity. We're strengthening our financial foundation, staff capacity, and leadership to ensure Jefferson Land Trust can deliver on its vision for and commitment to the land forever. We invite you to read the full plan or the executive summary by visiting our strategic planning page at saveland.org. The link is going to be in the chat, and we'll also email it to you later today. We are so grateful to you all for guiding the creation of this plan and for your investment in and commitment to this work. All of the goals in the plan can only be realized with the full support of our community. From all of us at the Land Trust, a heartfelt thank you.
As many of you know, Richard recently stated that he plans to retire in June of this year. This may make you wonder how this factors into our plans. Thanks to Richard's leadership and to your support, the Jefferson Land Trust is strong, it's stable, and it's well positioned for the future. Our board has launched a thoughtful search for Richard's successor, and our next executive director will be charged with carrying forward this community-informed strategic plan. Richard, I hope you have a few words for the audience about this.
I do. I want to thank this community for your support for the Land Trust over the almost 11 years that I've been director here. This is an incredible community. We all know it, but you have demonstrated this in numerous ways. I want to thank, first of all, the incredible team of staff that I get to work with. My colleagues should be getting the credit for all the advances that we've made in the past many years. They are mission-driven, they love this community, and they love the work they do, and it shows. It's been an absolute honor to work with such talented individuals, and they will continue on the work with the guidance of the strategic plan. And so I'm grateful. That's one of the things that we were able to do prior to my departure. I also want to thank my incredible board. I've been very fortunate that since I got here to have great board members. Nan Evans was one of them, who supported me, supported the staff, and supported the organization. But also I want to make sure that the volunteers get their due credit. We are very grateful to have an extensive cadre of volunteers who do everything from writing grants, stuffing envelopes, do plantings out in the field, and we could not do our work without our incredible volunteers. And also I want to support our supporters who make donations to keep this organization running. There are ambassadors in the community telling the community about the good work that we do. But I am incredibly grateful, and I'm blessed to have had this wonderful experience. It's hard to retire, especially when you love your job and have the best job in the community, I feel. But I have just been very fortunate in my life that this is the place where I was able to do good work with wonderful people and also retire. And my plans are to move to Ireland, but I will not be, you will always be in my hearts, and I really do appreciate it. And thank you for your support for this great organization. And really, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Richard.
Mhm.
I just want to say that on behalf of the entire board, we feel profound appreciation and gratefulness for your service, not only to the Land Trust, but to this entire community. Your work and your efforts and your dedication and passion have made an incredibly positive impact, and your legacy is secure. And
Thank you.
we sure hope you'll be back to visit us many times from Ireland. And maybe some of us plan to visit you in Ireland.
I will leave you my contact information.
Thank you so much. Incredible leadership, Richard Tucker. You will be missed.
Thank you.
We'll now give away a copy of Terry's book, new book. Here it is. And we have a lucky winner, and her name is Cynthia Bates. Cynthia, congratulations. We'll be in touch to arrange delivery of the book to you. To the audience, thank you for being with us today and for supporting Jefferson Land Trust in the many ways that you do, through volunteering, through advocacy, and for your generous giving. Jefferson Land Trust is community-led and community-powered. You make our work possible. Thank you and goodbye.